From painting to photography, from beadwork to woodworking, KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University presents Art Beat. Art Beat highlights the work and accomplishments of local artists from in and around Winona. Support for Art Beat is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Today on Art Beat, we're giving you a look behind the curtain of the Great River Shakespeare Festival that was held on the campus of Winona State University, right here in Winona, Minnesota. The festival's 2025 season features two classic plays, A Comedy of Errors and Romeo and Juliet. Today, we have a conversation with the festival's props designer, Karl Gfall. We get his behind-the-scenes takes about the shows and what it takes to make the magic of theater possible. I'm Annika Bakkum-Ekern saying sit back, relax, and enjoy as we talk all things Shakespeare today on Art Beat. 89.5 KQAL, this is Annika, and I am here with someone from the Great River Shakespeare Festival. Would you be so kind as to introduce yourself and your position with the festival?
Sure. My name is Karl Gfall. I am the properties designer and prop shop supervisor.
Amazing. How many years have you been involved in the Shakespeare Festival?
I kind of ran out of how exactly we're supposed to count it, but I started in 2011. There was a year off, and then I seem to recall some sort of a pandemic shutting down theaters, but kind of been here most of that time.
That does definitely put a damper on live theater, for sure. How exactly did you get into the props industry or the theater industry in general?
Well, long story. I started acting in a children's theater when I was quite young in my hometown. And I eventually went to college to do that. And while I was at that school, it was UW Parkside in Racine, Kenosha area of Wisconsin, started doing kind of a little bit of everything. It was sort of a gestalt program where it's good to learn a little bit about everything. And I wound up making quite a few props for the person who was being props master in for those productions, who incidentally was on her way to becoming the prop shop supervisor and props designer here. Her name is Nikki Kulas. Kind of brought me in as an artisan in 2011 and owe her a big debt of gratitude for what I've been doing for the past decade and a half, and also for teaching me the many things I very frustratingly did not know.
100%. How many shows are you working on?
This season?
This season, yes.
This season, we have two main stage shows. We're doing Romeo and Juliet. It's directed by H. Adams. And we're doing Comedy of Errors, directed by Doug Schultz-Carlson. And we have also been working in correspondence with the Clarence Brown Theater out of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, to produce a traveling show of Two Gentlemen of Verona that you can see around the area at a few vineyards and things like that. And they are also helping us with our understudy program for the main stage shows and with our green shows outside. So quite a few things going on, as well as an academic program for children to come hang out and do some Shakespeare.
Awesome. Do you have your hands in every single one of those shows in some context?
Not really, but I do tend to wind up helping out here or there. My main job is to make sure that the main stages get their properties all sewed up well, and then been working with the Clarence Brown crew to make sure that they have what they have, but they, for the most part, build most of their things down in Knoxville and brought them up, but I help out where I can.
Absolutely. What does a typical day look like for you during festival season?
During festival season, for people on the technical side, we are coming early at the middle of May and working 9 to 6, sometimes longer than that, to start building everything that we need, costumes, props, set, all of that stuff. So that's kind of your typical work day. Things get a little bit more different when we start incorporating the rehearsal room and the builds together during technical rehearsals. And then we all kind of come together and wind up doing kind of a lot of long hours and having a bunch of fun and figuring out the problems that we couldn't solve until we were all together. And for a typical day in the prop shop, I can tell you that includes an awful lot of sitting down, fabricating, talking about all of the various aspects of projects and making sure everybody has the materials that they need, and then having a few meetings here or there to make sure that things are still going well in rehearsal rooms and checking all of the rehearsal reports and clerical work.
100%. There's a bunch of work that goes in to a show like this, and I mean multiple shows moreover. What is your favorite part about the festival?
Oh, well, I suppose that there's been an awful lot of favorite parts over the years. I pretty much always say I come back for Winona and for the people, festival and not festival related, that I've met here. It's, on a long enough timeline, become very much a home away from home and a family that I have here. And that's one of the best ways to make theater, is to make it with people that you have a good shorthand with and who you care about and can learn from, which is not always easy if you don't know people very well. So you come here and you meet your old friends and you enjoy beautiful Winona and all of the great things that are here, including KQAL, which I listen to fairly religiously. And yeah, that's my favorite part. It's just the people and the fun.
I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. There is nothing better than making theater with people you truly trust and respect, and that friendship is an important basis for all things. And Winona is an amazing community on top of that. As someone who grew up around here, I agree with you beyond words can describe. How much preparation goes into the festival before showtime for you guys?
Oh, tons, especially when it comes to the mental preparation. We start thinking about shows that we're going to do next year about this time. Start spitballing on exactly what we're going to do and what we see the zeitgeist blowing towards as far as what's going to be useful not only to the community but to the world, and also what we're capable of producing on any given year. And we kind of mill those things around. Eventually, somewhere throughout the year, we start checking in with one another somewhat unofficially. And then late winter, early spring, we have a round of design conferences to really get together and say what we've been working on, who's going to be in the cast, what kind of scale we're going to be able to achieve, where we're at as a company, and then start hammering out some of the details on very specifically what we're trying to say and do with the shows and what they're going to look like. And most of the designers spend probably a lot of headspace during the spring before we even get here in May. And hopefully by then we have preconceived materials and ideas enough that when we get some boots on the ground, we can just start rolling, which we do rather emphatically throughout May and June.
I can't imagine the fast-paced nature of this for you guys, because you're only here for a couple weeks to a couple months.
Yeah, the build period starts like second or third week in May most years, and we got everything built and fingers crossed functioning by the beginning of July, and then we run shows all through July, and then we pack it all up and shove it in a storage unit and hope for the best.
Thus is the industry, though. Where is home base for you guys? Like, when you're not here, do you meet basically online, or do you have a home base somewhere outside of here?
It is mostly done over Zoom calls, which we got very successful at over the pandemic, but yeah, there is no one home for Great River Shakespeare Festival. We come from all over the place. Lots of people come from Southern California. Lots of people are coming in from New York, Chicago area, Minneapolis, St. Paul, pretty much every major city. We've had people from Vegas. We've got, obviously, people from Knoxville here now. Yeah, boy, probably every state on the map over the last 25 years.
I mean, how does that process even go about? How do you guys source people and get this really interesting group of people together to make these shows?
Well, there's a couple answers. People will always say that it's who you know in the business. That's not necessarily true. We also, amongst sourcing people that we know well, that we've worked with throughout the years or throughout the last year. Also, it's like any job. We put up postings online at places online that theater people know to go to get jobs, and pretty standard interview process. And people find that they know where to go.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could let everyone know one thing about this festival, what would it be? Loaded question for sure.
Everybody needs to know something about this?
Maybe even a good chunk,
For me, I run a little bit more on the personal side. If I could let everybody know something about this festival, it is how much the people who return and the people who are friends with those of us that return and have loved this place really, really want and need it to be a thing. And that it's not just a silly thing that we come here and do because it's another job. It's something that is deeply important to quite a few of us, that is not always the easiest to keep going. And we really strive to, because it's a pivotal portion of our lives, to continue coming back here and enjoying this space and making the kind of art that we at least desire to make, if not always achieve.
I think that's a perfect way to answer the question. You really knocked that softball out of the park there. If you could let everyone know specifically one thing about your job and what you do, what would that be?
Well, that I have lots of answers to. If I could do one thing, I suppose it would be, I would say this is probably the answer to an awful lot of technical theater professionals' version of that question is, while we love the actors, they are in fact not the people who make the sets or the props or the costumes. I tend to think most people in this community have a pretty good roundabout understanding of how theater works, pretty artistic community. But I have noticed out there in the world that if everybody in the world is listening, yes, acting is its very full, wonderful career path, and it is not always the people who are on stage who are doing so much everything else. There's oftentimes one person backstage for every person you see on stage, or maybe more.
The actors definitely do get most of that stardom and recognition, when in reality, as someone who has been on both sides, I understand you get a new appreciation when you go backstage and realize just how much work the people in back are putting on in order for you to be on stage. And luckily, Winona really does respect everyone in every part of the process, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of amazing artists here that understand your pain. Similarly to that question, what are some common misconceptions that you get in your job or in the theater industry in general?
Boy, I think every person in the company would have at least, one answer to this question that would be pretty profound. But there's a lot of misconceptions about the culture behind theater. I think that over the years I've found a lot of people seem to think that it's a bit of a debaucherous, bacchanal, which it's honestly a job that requires tons of long hours and tons of, we certainly play hard, and I'm not going to say that that's not true, but it's finding a time to play as hard as we work would be nigh on impossible. So I think that that might be a misconception that I would like to break, that it's somehow, cast parties and wild nights, when it's realistically buckling down, doing a lot of work, memorizing a lot of lines, long hours in costume shops, long hours doing hard work in scene shops, dedication that is pretty dramatically beyond the price point of what you're doing.
Most people, I would argue, that are in the theater industry are not in it for the money or the accolades. It is a lot more about painting and giant black bruises than it is about partying. But there are a few nights that do decorate, but I think that's a very important misconception to break, for sure. What do you love about Shakespeare after working with the Great River Shakespeare Festival for so many years?
Shakespeare's malleability has always been one of its most striking features. I think a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to figure out precisely what artists are saying. But great part about Shakespeare is I think a lot of times he was trying to point out to all of us that two things can be true, and that even today we keep being able to squeeze this material, not only to squeeze out what's in it, but also to reabsorb that which is currently true into the material, and we get to do it through a voice that is often complained about as being difficult to understand, but in its own way distances us enough from ourselves so that we can accept what is being said on stage without feeling affronted by it. When you're sitting there trying to parse apart the language that's being said in front of you, you're kind of absorbing the point that the actors are making with the text without being insulted. Probably. I mean, we try to insult once in a while. That's an important aspect of art as well. But
yeah. You could say Nick Bottom may get to insult freely once every so often.
Indeed.
Having to do some of the same shows at different points over the years, do you find that there is a lot of freedom to kind of reinvent the same show over and over again as you work on it?
Oh, absolutely. I'll admit to a bit of frustration when people tend to make the exact same choice because that's what they've been familiarized with, when there is so much latitude to not. This year's production of R&J is particularly good because Adam Harris has taken the script and, without editing the text really very much at all, managed to completely refocus where the audience is getting their lens to the story from, and talking about some things that in the past I've mostly seen as written off as comedic. The nurses become basically our lens into the world, and her story becomes so much more powerful and so much more close to the heart than it normally is used as. And I'm opened my eyes to, you could do this with almost every character in this show, because at the end of the day, all of these people are in the script because they love these two people, or at least one of them, and their story of what happened to their friend will be meaningful from every angle. So, just in one show, it's not that hard to see how 20 productions could be made out of just that one concept.
Speaking of, what is your favorite production that you think you've done with Great River Shakespeare Festival?
Boy, I don't even know if I remember all of them.
That would be likely. If you had to pick a favorite, a standout.
I mean, it's not going to sound great because I've been going on about how great this year's R&J is, but the last time we did Romeo and Juliet, we had local artist Mike Munson helped us out with this fantastic band that was playing with us, and it had a lot of action, and I felt like that one came together production-wise really phenomenally, and the actors that we had in it really knew what they were doing with that particular show. So that one stands out to me, probably because I just see pictures of it all the time. To tell you the truth, my favorites are oftentimes what the Shakespeare for Young Actors put on each season, because there are no wrong answers when the kids come out. They're just doing it, and to tell you the truth, sometimes they're doing it far more inspired than a lot of adult actors might. So, yeah, if you have the chance to come by and see that, it's one of the most amazing things you'll ever see, is children doing King Lear, a show about being old, essentially.
As someone who works with a lot of child actors, I absolutely understand that sentiment. A lot of kids are incredibly spirited in a way that adults can't even begin to try and emulate. And as a theater person myself, I have to ask, what is your favorite show that you've ever done?
Ever done?
Outside of the realm of Shakespeare. I'll narrow it down, not even letting them be in the conversation for this.
Well, I've worked on an awful lot backstage. It was a very big question.
Yes, it is.
After what I'm guessing is well over a couple hundred productions at this point. But there was a production of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard that they did at American Players Theater in Spring Green, Wisconsin, that I worked backstage for. And I never was an actor at that particular theater, but they needed one more person to come out on stage and play dead Laertes, who the cast of Hamlet from the same season had come on to be most of the other characters. But we were giving Eric Parks those nights off. So I got to, for the last 10 seconds, come out and be the dead body of Laertes that was necessary for the last scene. That's not why it was my favorite. It's a really brilliant script that deals with meta concepts of theater as well as a lot of existential questions. And I thought that one was particularly well done and very concise. So I feel like I learned a lot about theater as well as sort of a roundabout way of looking at life from that production. So I think about it a fair amount.
That is a wonderful show, so that is a great answer. Lastly, I'll ask you, what are you most excited for when Great River Shakespeare Festival is done?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, the simple answer a lot of the time is I'm oftentimes looking forward to getting back here. I work at a theater in Aurora, Illinois most of the year called the Paramount Theater, which is very large and does some really phenomenal shows. If you're in the area, I highly recommend coming. I would put it very on par with Broadway shows. And I have a lot of fun doing that, but it doesn't have quite the same magic for me. In fact, the people that I work with there, when I need to leave, are often like, Karl, you need to go and reset yourself. Because this, being here in Winona is clearly the thing that I love. And they're like, love having you, but like, get out of here. We'll see you in the end of the summer when your glass has been filled back up.
When you become a whole person once more.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah. This was a lovely conversation, and you've made me very excited to go see a King Lear done by 8-year-olds.
Well, I think oh, good Lord. I don't know if we're actually doing that one.
Yes.
You'd have to check in.
Totally. So, yeah, is there anything else that you would like to say to the people as a wonderful farewell?
Oh, just thank you all, and we're ever so grateful to consistently be interacting with you and sharing in this beautiful space that you're very gracious to let us be in. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was fantastic talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again to Karl Gfall, props designer of the Great River Shakespeare Festival, for joining us today on Art Beat. To see some more from the group, go on and check them out on social media or at their website, GRSF.org. For more conversations on art, tune into Art Beat, Tuesdays at 12:30, right here on 89.5 KQAL. For podcasts of Art Beat and other KQAL original programming, go to kqal.org. I'm Annika Bakkum-Ekern, and we've just heard from Karl Gfall, props designer of the Great River Shakespeare Festival, here on Art Beat.
Art Beat is written and produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us on the web at kqal.org.